Welcome back! We're going to make some vegan mayonnaise. There's no need to rush out to the shop and buy something really expensive in a bottle. You can really easily make it at home yourself. There is no need for eggs or egg substitute in mayonnaise. The science behind it is really simple. All we're going to create is a suspension using some fat and some milk. And the rest is all basically flavoring. So here's what you're going to need to make some vegan mayo. This is a base recipe. You can go and add all sorts of crazy fun stuff to this. You're going to need to have yourself a good blender. I recommend a high-speed blender, something like a Vitamix. Always is just bulletproof. I've got some soy milk here. I have garlic powder, onion powder, salt, mustard, maple syrup, and vegetable oil. When it comes to oils, I would highly recommend just using a vegetable oil. This is not a health food. This is not, it's not something, it's a treat. It's a treat, okay? It's basically mainly fat. So use it sparingly. If this isn't your jam, there are heaps of really good cashew-based mayos out there, or tofu, or lots of other things. If you're after something that's just really creamy, really quick, and just really versatile, this is it though, and you're not scared of a little bit of oil. So let's get going. To our Vitamix jug, we're going to add the soy milk. Haven't tried this with any other type of milk. It might work with oat milk. I doubt it would with almond or other ones. Just the viscosities are a bit different. To that, I'm going to add in my onion powder and garlic powder. If you didn't want to add these, that's a-okay. You could sub it out with some other herbs or spices. Salt, you definitely need some salt in here. Got some mustard. I'm just using American mustard. You could use Dijon. I'd probably stay away from a seeded mustard though. And then lastly, a little bit of maple syrup. And we're just going to throw that in for sweetness. You could sub this out for coconut sugar, brown sugar, dark sugar, anything that's dark. I wouldn't use a white sugar just because we kind of want some richness to the taste. We're going to throw this in the Vitamix and we're going to blend it up briefly to get it all incorporated as our base mix. Alright, and that is our base mixed, just like that. Just like a foamy little milkshake. Now is when you want to make your decisions around flavoring. If you wanted to make this a basil mayo, throw some basil leaves in. If you want to make it a chili mayo, throw some sriracha, some jalapenos or something in there. Get it in there now, mix it in using the base. Because from here on out, we're going to start working on our emulsion using the blender and the oil. So get your flavor base right. I like to usually try this base mix and just see. Plenty of salt in there, plenty of the onions coming through really nicely. It's a really nice savory mayonnaise base. So I'm really happy with that flavoring. Let's get into adding the oil. As a rough rule, you're probably going to add about 1.2 times the amount of oil to milk, but to be honest with you, I never bother measuring it. I do it based on feel. So we're going to start the blender on slow. I should say, traditional mayonnaise, we're using eggs. People get really scared about this next stage where you're starting to drizzle in the oil and you're starting to create that emulsion. They're worried it's going to split and break and do whatever. This I find is pretty robust. Yes, I have split this before by adding too much oil, but you can bring it on back by adding more soy milk. So this is a pretty stable and safe mayonnaise. You're not really gonna have too many dramas with it. So you don't need to be really precious about it, but we do just want to gradually add the oil in until we start to see and hear it thicken up. This particular Vitamix, sometimes you get more of the thicker mayo stuck at the bottom, thinner stuff at the top, so I just use the tamp to just work it through. And basically you just stop when you're happy with the consistency. If you want a really thin runny mayo, you can stop early. If you wanted to keep going to make it a really thick mayo, just keep going with the oil. So let's get started. I'm just gonna start to drizzle this oil in. It's gonna probably take at least a cup. Already I can hear it starting to change a little bit. It's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit thicker again. If you take a look inside, you can see it's more like a thickened cream now as opposed to a milkshake. Now right now we kind of got some thick lumps and we got some thin bits, so we want to try and even that out. It's just that the blade is processing all that stuff at the bottom really quickly, but it's not dragging it all the way through. So I'm just going to try and use the tamp to really... Alright, let's check on the consistency of this. So this has gone quite thick now. You can see that's like, I've probably gone overboard on the amount of oil. We've kind of gone really lumpy. You could thin this back out by putting some soy milk in there, but what I'm probably going to do is empty this into a bowl and give it a bit of a whisk, and that will help to really thin it all out. Alrighty, so that's basically the final result. I've just put a whisk through that. It's smoothed out a little bit more. This is an example of a much thicker mayonnaise. Usually I'd probably stop a little bit before that, but I was overzealous today. That there can sit in the fridge for a good couple of weeks, if not month and a half. Remembering it's just soy milk and oil, a few other ingredients, so it's pretty stable. Take a batch of it, add some sriracha to half of it, do all sorts of fun stuff with it, spread it on sandwiches, put it pasta, cream up some things. Super easy recipe. So now you know how to make vegan mayo. Go forth, make some mayo, spread the love, spread the mayo.